someone like to move approval of the agenda?
Madam Chair, I'd like to move the agenda with the following changes. Part B, I would like to remove 4, 5, 6, and 7. Letter X or 10, we will recess instead of adjourn for our closed session with adding adjournment at the end.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. And this is because right now our both negotiating teams are still in session. And in the case that there is something that we need board approval on, we want to be able to be done with the meeting so that we can go into our closed session. So, all in favor of approving the agenda as Director Oliva stated, omitting number 4, 5, 6, 7, and switching X to, which would be 10, to recess instead of adjourn. Please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Thank you. We will have recognized the Continental Math League from Oak Grove Elementary School. Thank you. Is someone here to speak to that? Thank you, Barb.
Okay. School Board for Chautauqua, cabinet members, elected school officials, and audience members, especially my fellow teachers. As always, I'm excited to be here to recognize just a few of our incredibly talented students here in Bloomington Public Schools. So first, I'd like to introduce Mrs. Carrie Govic, our third grade elements teacher at Oak Grove, to introduce you to two of our stellar students in math.
Good evening, everyone. We have a program called the Continental Math League that we do, and it is a very challenging math program that's done nationally, and our students are exposed to some very difficult math problem-solving questions. And so we have worked hard this year to prepare them by learning some really good foundational problem-solving strategies that they can apply to numerous problems. And they worked very, very hard. They were able to get a super high score, and that was because of their hard work and dedication to math. And so I want to be here tonight to be able to award them with the honor of the Continental Math League Award. So if I could introduce Ahmed Assad to please come forward, and Roosevelt Asano, please. First of all, you have several awards that you'll be given, one from the Continental Math League and one from the school board. And so the first one I'd like to give you is the one recognizing from your teacher, your principal, and the Continental Math League president for your high work and high scores. So congratulations, and here is also a little medallion for you and as another keepsake of your great year. And Roosevelt, I'd also like to give you this certificate in honor of myself, the principal, and the president of the Continental Math League for your hard work and achievement in this very challenging program. And here's your little medallion as well. Congratulations.
Thank you. And if there are parents in the audience that are with these children, please
Parents,
stand
stand
up and be recognized. Thank you. I'm sorry, did you have more?
Okay, I would also like to recognize two other students who could not be here tonight. Sebastian Tangleson and Robert Trailer are two fifth grade Dimension students in Mr. John Simon's class at Oak Grove Elementary. As a team, they placed second in the state in the elementary division, grades 4 to 6, in the stock market game. They competed in the year-long portfolio equity competition, ending with a portfolio worth over $110,000. In case you're interested, they invested in Marathon Oil, Conoco, Phillips, and Lumber Liquidators. They were honored last week at the Best Prep ceremony at the Hyatt Regency downtown and lunch with leaders from the company Ecolab. They've also been asked to participate in a podcast with Laura Oakes, WCCO, in a few weeks. I would be remiss in saying that as I retire in 9 days, I have been very appreciative of this and past boards for your support for gifted ed programming in Bloomington. We now service nearly 475 children in grades 2 through 10 in our schools within a school, with more to come next year. At least 1/3 of those students are out of district, and we've not counted siblings. Some families have actually moved into Bloomington. We realize that our programming is good financially for our district, but I would like to believe that your support comes just because it's good for children and their families. I would also like to say that it makes me very sad to retire in this negative environment. I say this next thing with great humility, but it was my idea to start Dimensions. Me, a teacher. I wrote the business plan with all the specifics about curriculum and the cost analysis with help from my husband. I presented the plan with my boss, Richard Cash, to then Assistant Superintendent Platson, and then Richard became involved because he had a seat at the proverbial table that I would never have been invited to as a teacher. I've often felt that teachers in general are underestimated because they choose to stay in teaching rather than move to administration. Yes, our teachers and families are passionate. Yes, we sometimes get emotional because we're passionate. I often wonder if people who have not been teachers can even begin to understand that. It is truly defeating to be underappreciated for our work. Please be fair. Thank you again. I've enjoyed working in Bloomington.
Now I'd like to introduce Wendy Martek. To come forward, are you going to speak to the Gary Seamers Exemplary Educator Award?
Good evening, Superintendent, Chair Bartolotta, school board members, cabinet, and listening audience. Tonight, I present to you the Gary Seamers Award winner for this year. This is given to an educator that's very involved in the union and is also an excellent teacher. I'm going to let her talk a little bit, but Molly.
Here we are again. I feel like this time last year I was here before. I want to express my sincere gratitude and thanks to the Bloomington Federation of Teachers for choosing me to receive the Gary Seamers Exemplary Teacher Award. I am honored and humbled to stand with the previous winners, and let's face it, after the year that we have had as teachers, this has felt really good. I will be honest with you, when the BFT asked me to speak tonight, I wasn't sure what direction I wanted to take this. At first, it was one of anger, not because I have won the award, of course, but because of the state of our negotiations. I thought I should spend my time focusing on how the prolonged negotiations has resulted in an elevated feeling of disrespect. And how though we fight for our Bloomington families and children to give them the best education possible, many of our own children are going without because we are busy planning, preparing, and attending meetings day after day and week after week, fighting the settlement of our contract. And then I remembered why I was given this award. And while I totally don't know why I was chosen over others, I know this. I have worked to help our members stay in the positive culture in these trying times. Papers are upside down. As the co-chair of the settlement committee, keep calm and stay united is the mantra that I have tried to use in all the work that we are doing. So let me address you, the teachers both here and the audience, and those of you listening at home. For the last 2 years, you have welcomed me into your classrooms with open arms, not only as a QComp coach, but also as a BFT leader. You have shared your successes, your failures, and your concerns. You have worked to reflect in ways that you never were asked, but you informed me would make you a better teacher. I have been privileged to be a part of your life. Because teaching is your life. Even when you are at home, you are thinking of your students, your union brothers and sisters, and colleagues at large. When you are sick, you work from your bed on assessments, grading, and emails that you don't have time for. And when you take your one proverbial personal day a year, you have spent an additional 2 to 3 hours or more planning and prepping for your sub, which may or may not be filled due to our sub shortage. You spend your summers taking tech training, planning curriculum, attending workshops, and working to find supplemental income. I want to celebrate all of you. This award is for all of us. Never forget why we became teachers, because we know kids. We love them, we nurture them, we challenge them to do their best, we celebrate their accomplishments, and we worry about them when they don't make the gains that we know they're capable of. I respect you and I admire you. And even when it's clear that others don't, remember to keep calm, stay united, and thank you for making this teacher feel very special.
We have a proclamation regarding Bloomington Public Schools Centennial Year Observance. Someone like to move that proclamation?
Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Be it resolved, the School Board of Independent School District approves the attached proclamation setting forth the 2016-2017 school year as the observance of the centennial year of the Bloomington Public Schools.
Second.
Thank you. I'd like to read the proclamation. Whereas in 1917, Bloomington Public Schools consolidated into one district from a collection of schools. And whereas Bloomington Public Schools will observe its centennial during the 2016-17 school year. And whereas through the years, Bloomington Public Schools has become a dynamic district of more than 10,000 students attending 17 schools, nationally recognized early learning options, award-winning programs for high-ability students and adults, alternative education programs, and an innovative program to prepare young people for the workplace. And whereas Bloomington Public Schools has remained steadfast in its mission to prepare all learners to thrive in a rapidly changing world, and whereas Bloomington Public Schools enters its second century as one of Minnesota's great public school districts, as it continues the mission that inspired its founding. Now therefore, I, Maureen Bartolotta, Chair of the Bloomington School Board, at the meeting of the School Board of Independent School District Number 271, on this date, May 23rd, 2016, with the deepest sense of pride, do hereby proclaim the 2016-17 school year as Bloomington Public Schools Centennial Year in recognition of the 100th birthday of Bloomington Public Schools, and I urge all Bloomington citizens to join me in the special year-long observance. Is there any discussion about this proclamation? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. That brings us to the public comment portion. Are there any students in the audience tonight? No. Okay. Due to the fact that we are trying to abbreviate our meeting, I'd like to, did you want to speak? Yes. Please identify yourself, and as is our custom, we allot 3 minutes per speaker, and
2 pages of 14 font, so it shouldn't take me that long, but I don't speak fast.
go ahead.
My name is Nancy Schaff. I'm a Bloomington resident, parent, and a former ESL teacher here in the district. You're hearing a lot about the frustrations of teachers around contract negotiations, but the frustrations of parents and teachers go far beyond negotiations. You hear all the time about good teachers who are leaving the profession. I'm one of them. You hear about Bloomington teachers leaving this district because they're frustrated with the leadership and treated so disrespectfully. You have a cabinet member who tweeted that these are just negotiation threats and antics. Well, I quit a year ago, and it had nothing to do with negotiations or salary. I wrote on my resignation form that it was for philosophical and ethical differences in education. Several other teachers quit last summer, and more will quit this year. Why? Because this is a district that cares about window dressing. They spend lots of money producing charts and newsletters telling people what a great district Bloomington is. The fact is that when I moved to Bloomington from New York in 2007, U.S. News and World Report ranked Bloomington-Jefferson as the 8th best school in the state. We're now 26th. I am not talking about East Side schools. I'm talking about a West Side school, which has essentially the same demographics as it did when I came here. So why is the quality of education declining in Bloomington? It is because this administration puts so much effort into chasing every fad that comes down the path so they can put it in a newspaper or talk about it on NPR. I cannot begin to tell you how many different programs I've had to receive staff development in. I came to Bloomington with 11 years of teaching experience, but never have I worked in a district where I felt more ineffective or overwhelmed. It is because this administration and school board pay for program after program, administrator after administrator, throwing anything against the wall, hoping something will stick. Teachers aren't given the time it takes to develop lessons. Students aren't given the time it takes to understand our methods. Consequently, there is no depth to the education that our students are getting. Furthermore, there's no quality control. There's no review of these programs that you buy into. I believe in good education. As a teacher, I believe in constantly growing and honing my skills. But good teachers are creative and should be encouraged to try innovative things. This administration is very authoritarian and rewards compliance and submission. You hire principals that walk in lockstep. You lead by fear and intimidation. Teachers are being told that if they speak out on social media, they will be reprimanded. You are creating apathetic, disillusioned educators. Your leadership style is destroying us and denying our children a dynamic education. This past September, when my department met to go over the data of test scores from the year before, I wasn't there. I got 2 phone calls that week from former colleagues, each of them asking what I had done at Hillcrest. They said they had been shown a graph and that my test scores were well above the other schools. I told them that I stopped teaching the Bloomington way. I went back to the way I had been trained to teach. I was tired of chasing my tail, looking for a miracle. I built relationships with my students, their families, and our teachers, and we all learned together. I quit this district because I was so disappointed in the real dedication to our students. My students are often depicted on the posters and the website. When do we ever see Mr. Fujitaki in a photo where he isn't surrounded by minority children? But you have no minorities on your cabinet. I worked on the diversity committee for 4 years. The state requires that the district receive recommendations from the committee on ways to close the achievement gap. So each year we turn in our recommendation and nothing would be done. It was only so that you could check something off the list. I hear that our recommendation from a year ago is still sitting on your desk. Thank you.
Welcome, everybody.
Could you please identify yourself?
My name is
Thank you.
Andy Thule, and I've actually resided in Bloomington for 44 years. I went to Northgate Elementary. I actually went to Oak Grove here. This used to be an entire tech wing. It's kind of changed a little bit since those days. But and then I also graduated from Kennedy High School, class of '90. So I've been in Bloomington basically all my life, and I graduated with honors from Kennedy High School, and I'll say this: thanks to my tech teachers, right? And Jim Forey in junior high, 7th, 8th, and 9th, we had plastics, we had metals, foundry, woods, small engines. fantastic programming, right, in this area, this building, right? And then I went on to Kennedy, and you know what? We had 7 tech instructors, you know, at Kennedy High School, right? We had auto shop, we had aviation, we had electronics, fantastic programming, right? And I was actually in Title I in elementary, and I had Title I programming, so I was kind of classified as a special needs kid. And everybody wonders why the graduation rates kind of keep getting worse and worse. You ever looked at the lack of technical education in the district? And as a concerned taxpayer, I am worried about where the technical education is leading in this district. It's been gutted to the core, I'll say that. Kennedy has got about 2 tech instructors, which are worked to the bone right now. I know these people. I talk to these people, right? And I happen to be an educator. I work out at Hennepin Technical College. I work actually for Intermediate District 287, which you guys know what Intermediate District 287 is. A lot of special needs students. And I actually taught auto mechanics for 10 years for 287. A lot of people on IEPs, right? Everyone knows what an IEP is, right? And technical education serves the needs of these people with IEPs, right? Now I'm teaching at the college. This is my 10th year teaching college. So 10 in high school, 10 in the college area. You know what? College instructors actually work with a lot of special needs students as well, right? But what I'm really concerned about is where the district is actually headed with the education, and in light of the contract that I'm seeing right now. Bloomington needs to bring new teachers to this district, right? You look at the front page of the Sun Current, ridiculous what the new starting wages are for a teacher. It comes from the heart to teach. And I'll tell you that as a 20-year teacher, right? You want to attract good teachers, you got to pay them well. You want to attract a good mechanic, you got to pay them well. And not only that, would you hire an unlicensed electrician to wire your house? And this is what's going on right now, folks. The Bloomington Career Academy is bringing students from the schools, and it's very tough for the tech teachers, even in the Bloomington district, to come to the Bloomington Career Academy. You want to know why? They're actually coming out to Hennepin Technical College, right? And they're coming out, and we're hiring adjunct people to take care of these positions, right? So now we have Intermediate District 287 has 3 sections of auto mechanics, right? A 2-hour block, 2, 4, 6 hours. So we have 3 sections with Intermediate District 287 of auto mechanics. Now we're bringing in this closed door kind of thing. My administration won't even speak of it. The Bloomington Career Academy, we don't even know what it is, right? And what's really, really interesting about it is they're hiring adjunct people. They're hiring unlicensed people to come in and teach Bloomington students only, I'll call it a substandard education, right? I'm thinking about moving on. I got a daughter right now, and I believe her special ed teacher is out there right now somewhere. Hi, Sue. Nice to see you. Sue, awesome. You know, my daughter's autistic, right? And you know what? Like I said, technical education lends itself to a lot of special needs people, right? But what I'm concerned about is this unlicensing of teachers and this undoing of education, right? And I did a quick Google search, right? And this is real interesting, right? If you type in on Google, most people are pretty internet savvy. I mean, I'm still learning my smartphone. But if you type in top school districts in Minnesota, Bloomington rates at 53 out of 100, right? I just think that's a joke, right? We have a lot of business, we have a lot of industry here, we have a lot of homes here in this community, right? And another quick thing, you know, 53 out of 100, come on. You guys can do better than that. And you know, my father worked for the school district for 30 years. He retired out of Bloomington, right? And I'll say this, he was pleased to get out of Bloomington, right? There was no turning back. He went to get his award and he was out of here. Les knows who he is. But I can be outspoken here, but you know, you wouldn't hire a unlicensed plumber or an unlicensed electrician to come do your home, right? And you don't want to continue this path of underfunding teachers and kind of beating them down. I came from this environment, and I think it's really sad that our community is not stepping up and saying, hey, I want to stay in Bloomington, Les. I would love to stay here in Bloomington. I want to believe, I tell you what, my daughter's teachers are doing fantastic over at Westwood. And I encourage you, Les and this cabinet to settle this thing and start funding technical education, start bringing back some real programs that people can use for careers. And that includes special education, because this helps people. Thank you.
My name is Abdurrahim Diri. As you all know, I'm the president of Somali Parent Network. Thanks for giving me this opportunity today here to show the community full support. Bloomington Federation of Teachers, we are here to support them. Whatever demand they wanted, we are here to show them their support. I haven't prepared any speech, so I just came here to show them that we are fully supporting the teachers in the city of Bloomington. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Julie Morse. I spoke at the last meeting. After I spoke at the last meeting the next day, Rick Kaufman tweeted, "Attempts to garner support and sympathy by misrepresenting info, can't say the word, obfuscation is not a good strategy, #fail." This is after me and other parents stood up and spoke. He also tweeted, "The antics and rhetoric are classic playbook items, but times have changed. Attempts to play on emotions won't convince a discerning public." Attempts to play on emotions? What is the fear-mongering you have been putting out as PR? Threatening to cut programs if the teachers get what they deserve. Who is the one that is making attempts to play on emotions? Me and several other Bloomington residents are asking for Rick Kaufman's resignation and, at the very least, disciplinary actions to be taken. Made aware
I'd
of,
like to ask that you not use specific names, okay?
okay, I have been
Thank you.
made aware of another Facebook post that was done March 5th, 2013 by a certain PR manager. He said, "Wow, closing schools today created more whiny parents than a nursery of infants at feeding time. Good role modeling, not." Who is the one that is good role modeling not? We're supposed to teach our children how to properly use social media, and this is what they are taught by adults in these positions. That's not good role modeling. There are more examples, but there aren't screenshots, so there's not proof. So I decided not to read them out because I decided without actual screenshots and proof, it's hearsay. But once again, disciplinary action should be taken. And saying that, we also would we ask for the cabinet members' wages to be disclosed. I know that is public information. I know I could personally email and you could give it to me, but we want it out there for everyone to see. You're telling us we don't have money for teachers. I have heard rumor of what cabinet members' average wages are, which is we could hire 2 to 3 teachers for a lot of what just one of them is getting, if that's true. So I ask that that information be put out there. If we're looking to cut programs because we're giving teachers raises, perhaps we need to cut cabinet members' incomes too, or hire cabinet members that will do the job for less money, if the rumors are true. I will state that as I have no idea. And then at the end of the last board meeting, Madam Chair, at the end of it, she read out what was obviously a scripted speech about the need to be fiscally responsible. That was the last thing that was said at the end of the public part. I just thought I would like to remind the board members that what is fiscally responsible for today is not always fiscally responsible for the long run, and you may be shooting yourselves in the foot. If we lose our good teachers and our reputation keeps going down, families with children stop moving into Bloomington. The less families we have with children, the less children we have, the less government funding we have. It's a spiraling downward circle that we are taking in fiscal responsibility, and I think that needs to be taken into consideration, what we are doing. Bloomington, I watch the, having a brain fart here. I watch the city council meetings, and they keep talking about how do we get younger families into Bloomington. It's an older demographic. How do we get younger families interested? Well, the number one thing families look at when they have children, is schools. Schools. Bloomington is starting to go down. It used to be the place to be. We want to be fiscally responsible. We need to give our teachers what they want so they will stay, so that we are getting the money we need per children.
Seeing no one else step forward, we will move on with our meeting. Would someone like to, first we need to, a motion for a closed session this evening
For what purpose?
for purposes of negotiations after this meeting.
So moved.
Thank you. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Would someone like to move Part A, the board business, minutes, personnel items, field trips, and contracts and agreements?
So moved.
All in favor of Part A, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Brings us to Part B. I'd like to invite John Weiser to come to the podium. Would someone like to move the Naviance agreement? Yes, please.
Be resolved, the School Board of Independent School District 271 approves the agreement with Naviance.
Second, thank you. John Weiser, our Director of Technology, is here to speak to this.
Sure. Chair Bartolotta, Superintendent Fujitaki, and board members. Naviance is a career and interest inventory. Well, it's a collection of tools that are used in areas of career and interest inventories. A lot of the connections between our students and their post-secondary work, so transcripting, college searching, and so on, as part of a larger effort to grow personal growth plans in the district. The PGP team, researched and landed on Naviance.
Okay. Anyone have any questions regarding this agreement?
Madam Chair, I'd actually asked a question, and I think I asked it a little bit late in the day, so Rod hadn't had a chance to get back to me, but maybe you would know. Looking through the agreement and the contract, I saw that we would be charged per the billing agreement, but I didn't see the billing agreement in here. So what sort of fee are we gonna be charged for using the software versus maybe some of the competing products that were out there? Do you know?
Yeah. The total cost, let's divide it into two parts. The initial cost is a $19,000 annual licensing fee, and that's based on student population, number of students who are using it, times the multiplier. And then there's one-time setup and consultation cost, which is to make all of the connections to our different various systems that populate Naviance with content. So students, when they log in, they see connections to their other work. That's about an equivalent of whatever $35,000 minus. So that's about $16,000.
Yeah.
One-time startup cost.
And that's pretty, I know with the stuff that my company uses, that sounds about right, but I'm assuming that you looked at other competing products?
We did. We currently use a system called MCIS, Minnesota Career Inventory System. That's a less expensive product. Some of the money from that system will be repurposed for this. This is a very competitive cost, competitive program used by many of our neighbors. It's really the top tier program for this whole collection of tools.
Questions? Hearing none, all in favor of this agreement, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? None. Next, we'll invite Mr. Weiser to stay for the identity automation agreement. Would someone like to make that resolution?
Madam Chair.
Go ahead.
Be it resolved, the School Board of Independent School District 271 approves the agreement with Identity Automation.
Second.
Thank you. Would you like to speak to that, John?
Yeah, Identity Automation is a software tool set that helps onboarding of and user identity management for every new staff member, every new student, and every new parent associated with student that comes into the district. Part of this process is when a new person joins our district in one of those many roles, we have to establish an account or a series of accounts for those people. We have to distribute all of those accounts to the various systems that they use to do their work, whether it's a staff member to do things like grading, students to do things like logging into Google Docs, or parents into things like logging in to use the hub. Where we can, or I will say over time, we've used custom tools and people processes to do that onboarding. This is a system that brings all of those processes under one roof. The intent is to expedite the number of days it takes for that onboarding process to take, and then to be more complete. When staff leave, when students leave, managing those accounts without having as many people involved. So it's an efficiency tool.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions?
Madam Chair?
Go ahead.
Yeah. John, thanks for coming.
Yeah.
When I read the detailed background, the words that popped out were maintain passwords and manage user rights to data systems. And I'm just curious to know we feel good about how this maintains passwords and nobody can get in there, and
we put it on our hardware in our back room, so it's not on a hosted site. Yes, we feel pretty good about the encryption I think you're talking about, and the way it connects to other systems. It uses a method of, for instance, tokening when it verifies my identity and passes me off from identity automation into Moodle, for instance. So my username and password isn't sent in the clear, it's sent in an encrypted way so that it couldn't be read through the air and decrypted.
okay, thanks. I circled it and didn't write any notes in the ledger, and that must have meant to me that I knew what I was going to ask. So, thanks.
It is a modern system, yes.
Anyone else? Questions? Hearing none, all in favor of this agreement, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Next, we have the Central Minnesota Educational Research and Development Council Moodle hosting agreement. Someone like to move that resolution?
Madam Chair?
Thank you.
Be it resolved that the School Board of Independent School District 271 approves the agreement with Central Minnesota Educational Research and Development Council for Moodle hosting service.
Second.
Thank you. And again, was
Yeah.
John Weiser.
Moodle is our one of our core tools. What we talk about is one of our core tools in digitizing content. It's where many of our teachers put their digital content as they've shifted or created lessons or do assessments in an online format. We've seen consistent growth over the past 7 years as we've taken Moodle from a box in our back room all the way up to hosting. This is actually a host change. We're moving from one Moodle host to a second Moodle host this summer. The reasons for that are in the resolution, but I'll just summarize. One is this host has a reputation for dealing with K-12 districts that are similar in profile to us. So they deal with the Anoka-Hennepin School District, for instance. That's an important characteristic because Moodle used in a K-12 environment is different than it might be used in a college environment, another common place. Second thing that this host company does extremely well is it has a differentiated or load-balanced method for multiple Moodle instances. What that means is we have these impact points around high school finals, for instance, where we have a modest amount of use throughout trimester 3, but then that use spikes severely as all of our high school students are taking finals in one form or another, many of those on Moodle. This distributed model is meant to deal with that. Instead of having one machine, that load is distributed across multiple machines. So it's in their area of expertise. That's part of the reason for our shift.
Anyone have any questions? Hearing none, all in favor of this resolution, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? None.
Set us up for our summer work.
Thank you. All right, being that we have eliminated 4, 5, 6, and 7, or just move them on to the next meeting, I guess we could have board member reports, but abbreviated it once again, just so that we can go into our closed session quickly.
I'll go ahead and start.
Thank you.
Attended the Bloomington Ridgefield Early Childhood Family Education Parent Advisory Council meeting. It was good. They talked about a PBIS grant that they're going to be that they got to start PBIS at Pond, which was really good. They talked about program staffing. Some of the parents had talked about some miscommunications between their child getting screened, or who needs to get screened to go to kindergarten. And I learned something is if your child is already has an IEP, I think is what it is, in preschool, then they've already been screened. They don't need to be screened again. So I learned something new. Upcoming events for them on Thursday, May 26th, they have their end of the year picnic from 5:30 to 7:30 over at Moyer Park. They'll have a presence in the Memorial Day Parade on Monday, May 30th. The note here says start at the Ziegler parking lot, but the parade is along Lindale Avenue there, right? Their last meeting of the year is Thursday, June 9th. Another thing that I got to do this last week is attend the Ridgeview 5th grade concert. And I had to say that it was excellent. I was sorry that the teachers left because the music teacher from Ridgeview was here. And two things that really stood out is there was a technical difficulty, so their background tracks didn't work, which actually ended up making, for me, the concert better, because then all we heard was the children's natural voices and the instruments that they were playing in the front with no outside interference. And it was great to hear those kids sing together. And then when it got to the band and concert or band and orchestra where they were playing the violins and stuff, there was certainly times when it sounded like kids playing instruments, but then there was a few moments where they'd all be in tune and they'd all be together and they'd play this note and you'd have the resonance in the room just like it was a professional orchestra playing, and it was amazing for me, being so involved in music as I am, to hear that and to hear how much progress my son, who got his trumpet at the beginning of the year, being able to play these songs, and they played them together and it sounded so great. So I sent a thank you note to the music instructors already, but I wanted to publicly say that they did an excellent job with those kids.
Thank you. Anyone else? With an abbreviated?
I actually wrote an abbreviated version.
Thank you, Dick.
All right, so I had the pleasure to attend the last PTA meeting for both Poplar Bridge and Olson Elementary, and just want to say real quick thanks to all the parent volunteers for all they do year in, year out. It's really a lot of fun to see the energy and the effort that those folks put into those. Stopped in at Kennedy last Thursday. I was there for the mock interviews, but beforehand I stopped in and had lunch. I want to say thanks to the cooks there. They wanted me to say something about the meal, to give my review, and it was a big thumbs up. It was spaghetti and nice whole wheat bread, salad. They did an excellent job, as always. And then we went into the mock interviews, and the mock interviews are for the seniors. There was a group from Jefferson and one from Kennedy, and this is hosted by Bloomington Public Schools and the Chamber of Commerce. And we do exactly what it says, mock interviews. We sit with the students, they come prepared, we ask them questions, and then we give them feedback and critique. Was their handshake firm? Were they making eye contact? That kind of thing. And this is the third one that I've been involved in, and it's really a lot of fun, and I think the kids enjoyed it. Stopped in at Jefferson last week for the coffee house, where I cashed in my coupon that they were handed out here, I think, the last board meeting. The students from the Sun program were there handing out, they were selling, I bought a chocolate bar, and they made it in a bus. And on the front of it, it says, "We really appreciate you." And it's just kind of fun. I gave my wife the chocolate bar. A lot of fun, nice to see the staff there, and thank you so much for all you do for those students. Stopped over at Olson Middle for Diversity Day. A lot of fun to see all the kids there participating at the different tables. They had obviously polished their presentations. They knew what they were talking about. They were active and engaging everyone as they went by. Went to the first half of the Rhythm and Gold concert at Kennedy. They knocked it out of the park. It was awesome. It was a lot of fun. The reason that I went to the first half was because then after that I went to Box City Vigil over at Oak Grove Presbyterian, and that's hosted by Bloomington United for Youth. And that is to raise awareness for homelessness within our cities and within the country. The kids build boxes out of cardboard and whatever they can get, and lots of duct tape. And there's a presentation, BEC TV is over there, and they did a great job making it all come alive. And then, yeah, look at that. That's the end of the report.
Very good. Anyone else? Well, I just have two things, or one thing, actually. I was going to mention Back City, but I also want to make note of our own BEC TV's Ryan Hall, who was awarded the Northern Lights Award. He's the gentleman that, student, actually, that helps us every Monday night with our school board meetings. And he won this award for beating out a lot of competition from a lot of entries and some more seasoned than he is in the business. So congratulations to Ryan. And one more thing from the chair, I need a motion for a closed session on June 13th at 6 p.m. for the Superintendent Evaluation Committee.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor of the closed session on June 13th at 6 p.m. Please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? None. Thank you. That leads us to the superintendent. You're going to pass? Okay. At this time, we will
Madam Chair,
reset. Yes, I'm sorry.
I just have a special announcement to make sure that the Superintendent Evaluation Committee will be meeting after June 1st. Schedule a time, but just to get it on the record, that will probably be the first week in June to go over the evaluations.
Thank you. And at this time, we will, instead of adjourning, we will recess this meeting and move into closed session and hopefully have some news. So this meeting is recessed.